Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. Today is stage 5 of the Vuelta a España, 185 kilometers, about 115 miles in length. But there is a Category 2 climb in today's stage. It's going to summit, though, with about 54 kilometers to go on today's stage. And so is it going to be a stage for the breakaway? Is it going to be a stage for the sprinters? It's a little bit hard to tell because here at the Vuelta a España in 2023, there's not a ton of strength in the sprinter teams. There's just not like the Tour de France where you have 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 teams early into the Grand Tours to be able to control the field. Here, of course, you have Alpecin de Koenig, DSM, they have Danese. You got one team missing with Cofidis because Brian Cocard's out with a broken shoulder after the crash in yesterday's stage 4. So that's one sprinter team done. Does Liddell Trek really want to make a field sprint for Ed Toons? Well, he was third on yesterday's stage 4, so they might be interested in throwing in guys. But when you look at the profile, could be that maybe the guys start attacking on the Category 2 climb if it's very difficult going up that climb. Won't really know until we get into it live, but at a Category 2 and 11 kilometers, it's a possibility, right? Maybe you throw in some headwinds, anything can happen. Well, when I got up out of bed and flipped on the cameras, Eric Fagundes, he was the lone breakaway rider for Burgos BH, and I was thinking, well, maybe it's not a day for the breakaway. I probably should have slept in all morning because it was a big time sleeper with only one guy from Burgos BH, the Spanish team, up there solo. He's got about 4 minutes, but he's being held by only one team chasing back there, Alpecin de Koenig. But they won yesterday with Caden Groves. Remember coming out of that last corner with about 400 meters to go? Well, Caden Groves did a great job coming out second wheel on Milano, following him all the way up to the finish and then lighting him up with 50 meters to go. His director sportif before today's stage started called him cold-hearted as he followed the group behind there and then just lit him up just at the finish. And I got to agree with them. Caden Groves was magical on yesterday's stage 4 of the Vuelta a España, but can he back it up? Remember, Milan Mantan from Lotto Destiny, he came out of that last corner and he was like 5th, slipped back to 7th, maybe 8th, 9th position, then got all the way up to 4th, which means he was gaining and passing riders the whole time on yesterday's uphill finish. So can we see Milan Mantan from Lotto Destiny do something magical on today's race too? Looked pretty good on yesterday's stage 4, but like I said, we don't know exactly what the stage is going to hold for us until, of course, we see just the one Burgos BH rider up the road. Well, we get into the climb proper, and like I said, it started with about 64 kilometers to go. Halfway up the climb, the gap's down to about 1:10, and then Sepulveda, the KOM jersey wearer here at the Vuelta a España, he's going to bridge across right up there to Eric, and then he's going to drop Eric before the top, and he's going to take maximum KOM points. The peloton behind, they're going to go up curb to curb, and when they go over the KOM, quick step, pseudo quick step for Remco Evenepoel in the race leader's red jersey. He's going to control the descent, so Remco Evenepoel's in a perfect and safe position coming all the way down the descent. Now we're going to see Alpecin de Koenig get back on the front, now with more numbers here coming in late into this stage 5 of the Vuelta a España. They got 4 riders all over the front, and they're going to wrap up the 2 breakaway riders up there with about 40 kilometers to go. Everything's all together, and the stage win is up for possibility. Today's stage is a bit different than yesterday. Still a ton of roundabouts, but they're all big, large roads coming into the finish. And then instead of a 400-meter left and then a hard climb up to the finish, today's going to be 750 meters with a right, has a little bit of a speed bump before the right turn, then 750 straight into the finish of today's stage. So it is realistically a pure sprint stage if they can keep it all together, and I told you it's all wrapped up. So we got an interesting race here coming in with about 20 and 15 kilometers to go. Now, 20K, you start seeing things getting nervous. 19, you start seeing the roundabouts come into effect, and you know you don't want to be in the back as you see the policemen there blowing the whistle, and the back of the pelotons going around both sides of the roundabout. 18, 17, 16 kilometers to go, you start seeing Alpecin de Koenig with 2 riders at the back. They're both back there, so Alpecin de Koenig are down 2 guys because those guys rode early to keep everything here compact coming into the finish. Now, as we see Jumbo-Visma and the whole peloton going curb to curb, Jumbo-Visma's trying to keep their GC guys out of trouble, and so is everybody else. All the teams are lined up at the front, and it's getting nervous. We come into just under 12 kilometers to go. We start dicing through the roundabout there as it narrows up, but it's still kind of a straight road, at least through the roundabout. And we see Soudal Quick-Steps at the front. UAE Team Emirates are at the front. Jumbo-Visma's near the front, but a little bit in the back. And we're coming up to the sprint bonus line bonification here for time bonuses of 6, 4, and 2 seconds. Well, what's happening? Look over to the right side. UAE Team Emirates are the first to light things up. They're trying to get maximum sprint bonifications here and maybe get some time bonuses too. But you see the solo UAE Team Emirates rider as he's throwing down hard. His teammates leave his wheel. What's happening? We'll look over to the left. Remco Evenepoel starts his acceleration, blows around everybody at the front from the left side there. But he's got the green jersey winner of yesterday's stage, Caden Groves, locked on his wheel. Caden Groves holds up just second place as Remco Evenepoel gains 6 seconds on today's stage. Caden Groves gets second, and then Remco Evenepoel's Casper Pedersen, his teammate, gets third. So none of the other GC favorites get any time bonuses. Now let's back the film up just a little bit after the line there, because we're going to see UAE Team Emirates rider who was trying to do the lead out. He's looking back left over his shoulder at his teammates like, what were you guys doing? And what were all the GC teams doing? You guys are all knuckleheads. Moss, you got a sprinter with Cortina here. You could have beat Remco Evenepoel with your team. Remember, guys, you don't have to be a GC guy that beats Remco Evenepoel. You just have to have somebody in the whole peloton beat Remco Evenepoel here for the 6-second time bonuses, and none of the GC teams did it. Remember, when you look at Jumbo-Visma, Jonas Vingegaard's probably not going to beat him. Primoz Roglic is probably still a little battered from that stage 2 crash. So you got to go back to other teams. Maybe you go to Lenny Martinez, who's sitting high up on the general classification here for FDJ, and you ask his sprinter Lewis Askey to win some time bonuses there so Remco Evenepoel loses some points too. So all the GC teams, guys, you guys are all knuckleheads to let Remco Evenepoel, while wearing the race leader's red jersey, gain 6 seconds on all of you. Well, things start getting exciting. So if you don't have much time, make sure you watch the last 12K of today's race. Now we start seeing it's going curb to curb again. Things are getting super interesting. Soudal Quick-Steps all over the front. When we come into about 7 kilometers to go, I want to show you that Jumbo-Visma's not really near the front in dominant numbers. We get into about 4 kilometers to go, and we get an aerial pick from the top. And you see Jonas Vingegaard is only there with one team, Dylan Van Barle, the Paris-Roubaix winner. Now, Dylan Van Barle is doing everything he can, but just about 4 kilometers to go, he's done. He's going to pull off to the right, and Jonas Vingegaard's left all on his own. Soudal Quick-Step still have 2 guys with Remco Evenepoel because they're looking after the Vuelta leader right here. Big time as we're coming into the final technical sections here with just under 4 kilometers to go. Up front, we got one Casper Pedersen there for Soudal Quick-Step. And then he's going to pull off, and it's going to be my old teammate Matteo Cattaneo up there leading out Remco Evenepoel. Now we're coming into the next roundabout. It's just before 3.1 kilometer to go. EF Education is going to accelerate hard from the right side and start taking over command of the front of the peloton coming in this roundabout. Look over to the left. That's Tobias Bayer from Albacete de Koenig. Now they had solid numbers of 6 riders throughout the finish of this stage right here because they lost to 2, like I told you earlier, with about 16 kilometers to go that dropped off. Now Tobias Foss is falling into this roundabout as it's going to go hard right and then left all the way around the roundabout to come out the other end. And we're going to see as we go into this roundabout, all of a sudden, Tobias Foss loses the front end. We look over to the right, the Intermarché rider. He's losing it. Then Matteo Cattaneo is going to go straight into the bike there from Albacete de Koenig. Tobias, along with the Intermarché rider, and he crashes too. So Cattaneo's going down. Tobias Bayer from Albacete de Koenig's going down. Now let's back the film up and just look a loop what's happening in the middle of the peloton there. Well, race leader's red jersey saw the accident coming. He avoided it and stayed on the gas coming through the roundabout and stayed upright. We look back a little bit further again. We see the race leader's green jersey wearer, the point sprint leader here, and he gets tied up and slowed down but doesn't go down. Let's look at some of the other riders who crashed though, because we see that right up front, it's Arkea Samsic in about the middle of the peloton, further back from the first 2 riders crashing. That's Hugo Hofstetter going down. Milan Menton, he went down at the same time. So you know there had to be something slippery oil on the road because everybody crashing is just going down, not hitting anybody until they actually start sliding. With those 2 riders going down back there from Hugo Hofstetter and from Milan Menton, look what's happened to UAE Team Emirates. Well, they're crashing all over the place too, and that's got to be Milano, who was trying to win yesterday's stage 4, but he's getting taken out of the picture too. Now up front, EF Education solo, because everyone got held up a little bit. but Albacete de Koenig's gaze is trying to bring them back. We look as they're coming out of the roundabout for a little bit further down here with about under 3 kilometers to go. Caden Groves trying to get reorganized. They're all split up. Gaze is trying to bring back the EF Education rider in the front. We look back, Plankert's back there. We see also with Caden Groves as he's trying to pass riders on the left side so he can get back up to his teammates. He didn't lose much time in that crash, but he lost a little bit as they're getting reorganized. Now we're getting under about 2.7. The EF Education rider is going to get wrapped up, but he's going to stay on the front as the Albacete de Koenig riders are still getting organized and all lined up. We see Gaze, he's looking backwards. He sees his teammates are back there, and he sees Caden Groves all lined up with 3 teammates. That leaves 4 Albacete de Koenig riders with 2.5 kilometers to go. Now we look at 1.5. The peloton is shattered in pieces back there, and we see there's a bunch of yellow jerseys in there, so you got to assume Primoz Roglic and Jonas Vingegaard made it in this front group. Otherwise, you wouldn't see any yellow because they'd be dropping back for their leaders. So the GC favorites are all intact with Remco Evenepoel up here, Primoz Roglic, and Jonas Vingegaard. The top 3 favorites here, the Vuelta España, have made it through that 3.1 kilometer crash. Maybe it was 3K. I'm not certain how they called it, but up on the TV screen it showed 3.1. Now things are getting exciting because EF Education riders pulling off, and we're going to see Gaze taking over at the front. He's got all his teammates lined up. There's 4 UAE Team Emirates riders at the front, and Gaze will pull into 1.1 kilometer to go here at the front of the peloton. As he pulls off, it's time for Edward Plankert at the front, drilling it 100%. Well, he's got some work to do because he's got to get his teammates all the way in as far as he possibly can. Otherwise, they're going to come up short. Edward Plankert's going full gas. He's got the last right turn coming up at 750 meters to go. As he's coming into that right, look at the speed bump right in front of his front tire there, and he's getting a little competition coming in on the right side, inside of the turn here. Well, Plankert makes it over the speed bump through the right turn. Then we lose him from the front angle, and I'm wondering, wow, did they crash? Because they went so far wide, and they're out of the picture for just a second. Remember, there's crashes stage 1, 2, 3, 4 here, the Vuelta España. I'm just hoping Albacete de Koenig can keep it together. Well, seconds later, they come back into the picture there as we see 3 Albacete de Koenig riders lined up. He sees them, he goes full gas, and he's punching it all the way to 400 meters to go. Now, if I back the film up to when they came out of this final right turn, the most important thing I want to point out to you guys is that when you look behind the 3 Albacete de Koenig riders, what's happening back there? Well, it's all ones from each team. Nobody's got any team train back there because they all got held up in that crash at 3.1 kilometer to go at the roundabout. So it's every man for themselves. What does that mean? Well, that means if Plankert slows up, there's nobody back there to help the sprinters, so they can't jump early. If the sprinters back there jump early, most likely they're going to lose coming out of this final corner because it's still 650, 700 meters to go when you come out of this corner. Well, now let's fast forward up to 400 meters to go because Plankert's done an amazing job at the front of the peloton here. He pulls off hard to the left, and then we see it's Robbie Geese. Robbie Geese is the last lead-out man for Caden Groves. If he can hold the pace fast, Caden Groves have a shot of going back-to-back stage victories here at the Vuelta España, and Geese is throwing down hard. 300 meters to go. Take a look what's happening right there from Total Energies Van Gessel. Van Gessel is leaning hard on Ed Toons from Trek, Lidl Trek that is, as they both hold it up. Then 250 meters to go. Filippo Ganna, the 2-time world individual time champion, is starting his acceleration in his attack here at 250 meters to go. It's big time push on the pedals from Filippo Ganna. And look at Van Gessel as he threads the needle and comes from the right side in front of the wheel there. Ed Toons slots back out, and he's on Filippo Ganna's wheel going up the left side. Well, Caden Groves, he took a look back, saw he still had a little bit more time before Filippo Ganna started to sprint, but now he knows he needs to get on the pedals at 100 meters to go, so he starts his acceleration to the right as Filippo Ganna's coming up fast like a freight train on the left side there. With the 2 drag racing at about 75 meters to go, with Caden Groves got a little bit of an edge there, and Filippo Ganna, the 2-time individual world champion, he's not a sprinter, right? Well, Caden Groves keeps the acceleration down, throws the bike at 10 meters to go, and it's a bike throw between Caden Groves and Filippo Ganna. Well, Caden Groves starts to celebrate after the line, so that gave us a little bit of hint that he won today's stage. When I back the film up just a little bit more, take a look there of Caden Groves' teammate there, Robbie Geese. Robbie Geese already started celebrating, so he saw something even better than I could from the front angle of the camera here as they're crossing the line. And shortly after that, we know Caden Groves wins a second stage here, the Vuelta España. Filippo Ganna gets second on the stage. And then to round out the podium, that's Van Gisel there from Total Energy, who followed the wheel of Filippo Ganna all the way up the left side to round out the podium here on stage 5 of the Vuelta España. Now, Caden Groves, you'll see him celebrating right away after the line with arms wide. You look over to the left there, Filippo Ganna looking up over to the right there of the stage winner, Caden Groves. Then look over to the left, Van Gisel there from Total Energy. He looks upset and his head's popping down. As you know, he wanted a victory here on stage 5 of the Vuelta España. I think Ganna just thought, wow, I got second on today's stage in the sprint. I'm happy with that. And of course, Caden Groves, the most happiest, going back-to-back victories here at the Vuelta España, already in the first 5 days of this Grand Tour here at Tour of Spain. Exciting finish. Make sure you guys don't watch the beginning of the race, though, because that was a sleeper throughout the whole stage. But the last 20K was pretty exciting. And the final, if you want to know some detail about how to do a sprint train, take a look at Albacete de Koenig. Guys, they were magical here. Now, they lost Tobias Bayer in the crash with 3.1 kilometers to go, so he wasn't able to do a whole lot of pulling at the finish of the stage. Maurice Ballerstad did a great job of pulling the team to the front, but then that left Gaze, who had to do a phenomenal job of controlling the peloton after the crash at 3.1 kilometers to go and wrapping it all back up, while back there Caden Groves was getting his other two teammates all organized. Now, Gaze did a great job bringing it all the way into 1.1 kilometers to go. Planker did a fabulous job from 1.1K all the way into 400 meters. Remember, he had to make it through that last right-hand bend with the speed bump while the whole peloton was pushing up on him, and then still accelerate and start to string things out again so that he can get all the way into 400 meters to go. Where Robbie Geese, he's only 26 years of age, and he has got the sprinting game down magically because he was perfect today. Yesterday, he went down with that crash with Vandenberg in the final corner, but today he was perfect. 400 all the way to 100 meters to go, where he dropped off Caden Groves and just stayed on the acceleration, stayed in his line with Caden Groves going to the right and taking a phenomenal win with basically looked like a 125 meter sprint to the line to wrap up another victory here, like I said, for Albacete de Koenig. Congratulations. Magical sprint team here, even with the chaos of losing Tobias Bayer in that crash and Maurice Ballerstad a little bit early in today's stage. Either way, the rest of the team and everybody part of it did a magical job to control the race from kilometer 0 all the way into the back-to-back stage victory of today's stage 5. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next edition real soon.